Confidence isn't loud, and it's never reactive. If you think about it, confidence is a calmness. It's clarity, and it's completely unshakable, regardless of the conditions or circumstances, regardless of what's happening around you or to you. So you don't need to fight back or prove a point to anybody or anything. What you need to do is remember who you are and whose you are. And then you need to own that and step into that. See, if you keep trying to perform for people, trying to be somebody you're not, then you will always question your own value. You'll question your worth. You'll keep living below your calling. See, I can tell you this. When people are belittling you, it isn't about them truth-telling. It's about them trying to assert control or dominance over you. The other person is trying to bait you. They're trying to get some kind of a emotional reaction that somehow they then can own. Once you know that, once that's in your awareness, once you can see that, you stop treating their words like a verdict on your life, and you start treating them as they really are, as a lure trying to catch you and snag you up. Just that shift in perception, that shift in awareness, just that alone keeps you from getting hooked. See, the moment you react on their terms, the moment you give in, the moment you play the cards that they've dealt, what you're doing is you're handing them your personal power. You're allowing them to lead a conversation. But if you'll stay grounded and you refuse to play that game, you step into your own power. You keep your own authority where it belongs, in your own hands. You're no longer just a player at the table. You're now the dealer of the cards. See, your real influence shows up when you can stay calm under the fire. In every single room, the leader in the room is one who can take the heat without blinking. The one who can stand in their own truth. It's been my experience that people trust a person who can handle pressure without losing control. A person who has impulse control. See, these moments expose exactly how you see yourself. They say a lot more about you than they do the other person. If you know who you are and whose you are, and you've built a really strong internal truth, like a really clear level of awareness about who you are, about your value, all those negative comments, all those judgments, they just bounce off of you. They can't stick, and they can't stick because there's no receptor for them, because they don't match what you believe about yourself. You see, the lion doesn't care about the opinions of the lamb. Never did and never will. How you handle those conflicts becomes your reputation. When others see you respond with strength, and see, there's a difference between responding and reacting. Animals react. Human beings, gifted with awareness, gifted with judgment, gifted with reason, think, therefore we respond. There's a big difference between reacting and responding. Reaction takes no thinking at all. If I were to throw you a ball, you just instinctively grab it. But when you respond, you're looking at all of the resources and options available to you. And when others see you respond with strength, when they see you stand with composure instead of trying to be defensive, you set yourself apart as someone who commands respect. That's authority. When somebody throws a jab, don't take the bait. Hand it back to them. And the best way to handle this, when somebody would give me a dig or a jab, or maybe they make fun of me because I stutter or I stammer, I would just very simply, calmly, steady, and say, "Excuse me, would you say that again? Would you say it again?" See, it shifts the discomfort to them. They now have to hear their own words out loud. And if there's other people around, people look at them like, "Oh, what did he say? What did she say?" For the first time, maybe they have to own their own words. And most people cower in that because they're cowards to begin with. If you have to punch down, if you have to belittle other people for you to stand up, boy, that really defines the other person. You'll find that they'll often soften their stance, take it back, retract without you ever having to defend yourself. See, I learned this very early in my public speaking career. At one of my first events, a man interrupted me with kind of a sarcastic jab from the back of the room. And I paused and I looked at him. I said, "I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Would you say that again?" He hesitated as the room kind of looked at him. He immediately softened his tone and he instantly lost the room. The room instantly, energetically shifted in my favor. See, this strategy works because it's not combative. It's clarifying. See, what you're doing is you're giving them a choice. You're giving them a choice to stand by what they just said, or to change it, or to take it back. And guess what? Whichever one of those they choose, they're choosing because you set the terms. So asking for a repeat shows that you're not rattled. It shows that you're steady. You're not scrambling for a defense. You're holding them to a standard. You're holding them accountable for their own words in front of everyone who heard them. You know what it also does? Is it reframes it. See, you're no longer on the defensive. You're the one asking the questions now, which naturally places you back in the position of authority. See, when someone takes a shot at you, and they will, whenever you're trying to improve yourself, better yourself, grow yourself, it's like the metaphor of the crabs in the bottom of the bucket. As you're trying to claw your way out, they grab you and pull you down. So when somebody takes that shot, you want to kind of just shift the spotlight from your reaction to their reasoning. Another great way to approach this is, again, with a very calm question. Like, "Excuse me, was that meant to embarrass me?" With a smile, with the tonality of like, "Really? Like, did you just say that to try to embarrass me in front of people?" It puts them on the spot. The light is clearly on them, which forces them to explain themselves. And often it makes them think twice about what they just said. You want to shut down a bully? Stand up. They'll sit down every single time. See, in a business pitch years ago, someone mocked my background. I'm a high school dropout. I never went to college, and oftentimes I'm the least credentialed in most rooms. And so people think that, oh geez, I can discredit him by asking, well, what college did you go to? You dropped out of high school, right? I don't need to snap back. I just ask a real pointed question. Did you mean that the way it sounded? Did you mean that the way it sounded? See, that one question made him stamper. It made him stutter. It made him kind of backpedal. And right there, in front of the whole board, I closed the contract. See, this approach works because it really slows the conflict down. It just instantly lowers the temperature. See, they can't keep swinging if you've made them stop and explain their intent. Questions of intent always draw a very clear line. If they soften, and they will, you can be sure that you reset the tone. And look, if they double down, you now have absolute clarity about who you're dealing with. And then you can act accordingly. Most importantly, what you're doing is you're controlling the pace. You're showing that you decide when and how this conversation moves forward, not them. Now look, before we go any further, I want you to download a free guide that I created. It's called the Belief Upgrade Guide. See, when someone takes a shot at you, your response is only as strong as your self-concept, your identity. Now look, if your identity is shaky, if you don't know your value, if you don't know who you are, you'll perform for approval, or you'll react from insecurity. And then they own the moment. And this guide is going to walk you through 10 identity level shifts that make you unshakable under pressure so that your tone, your posture, and your presence stay congruent no matter who's in the room or what's being said. Now, the link, my team put it right below here in the description. Grab it now and then come right back, and I'm going to show you how to reset the situation without ever raising your voice. Silence is not avoidance. Silence is control. See, when you refuse to respond, you're telling them their comment, it isn't even worth your breath. I'm going to tell you what, that sends a much stronger message than any comeback could ever do. I've used this in high stakes negotiations all the time, just staying silent. In one licensing deal, they threw me kind of a low ball offer. And I stayed silent. I kept eye contact. I let that discomfort build. And then seconds later, they came back with a better number. No words were required. They immediately started to backpedal. See, the most confident person in the room isn't the one doing all the talking. It's the one who doesn't have to swat at every little jab. You can pick your moments. And they know when to engage and they know when to just let their silence do the heavy lifting. And if you can pair silence with steady eye contact, it creates a pressure that most people just can't sit in. Most people just hate that silence. And what they do is they start talking just to fill the space. And it's often revealing more than they ever intended. And then they start backtracking on whatever it is that they were saying. See, by not reacting, you preserve your energy for when it really matters. Don't waste it on trying to prove yourself to someone whose opinion doesn't even deserve your effort. Start practicing these moves in really easy, low-stakes situations with friends, colleagues, even in customer service interactions. See, the more you use them, the more natural they'll feel when the pressure's on. Before you walk into a tough room, anchor yourself. Anchor yourself in who you are, whose you are, what you stand for, what your value is. See, if you've ever settled that before a conversation begins, you know that there's no comment that can ever knock you off center. See conflict as a test of leadership. That's how you should see it. It's a test of your leadership. The point isn't to win every exchange. It's to keep your composure, to maintain the frame, to lead the room, to be the authority. Keep a running list of moments when you handled conflict really well. It's an evidence journal. And then go back and review them often so your brain is trained to remember your wins, not your stumbles. What this does is it builds mental toughness. It helps you stay composed under fire. See, understand that these aren't tricks. They're habits of confident, self-assured people. The goal isn't to shut someone down. It's to show by example that you can lead under pressure. The next time someone takes a swing at you with their words, remember, the words aren't the test. The test, the true test, is can you stand in who you are without flinching? Can you hold your space, your center, and keep control? If you can do that, you've already won. Now look, if you haven't already downloaded the Belief Upgrade Guide yet, do it right now. See, these conversations aren't won with comebacks. They're won with a stronger self-identity rooted in your power and your truth. Then, here's what I want you to do. Take this to the next level and watch my next video called The Rules Which Made Me So Rich, I Questioned the Meaning of Money. And then I'll show you how to unlearn the money rules that keep you playing small. Tune your thinking into a frequency of millions and lead from empowerment, not survival and not scarcity. Download the guide and then watch the next video. I'll see you there.